fireside chat on data security and privacy. And we have with us Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal, Associate Director, Security and Compliance. Make my trip for that. May I request Mr. Agarwal to come on stage, please? A huge round of applause for him, please. And I will be having a discussion with Vaibhav. Please come. So hi. So we thought that in our session, panel discussion, industry presentation, to add a little bit of flavor in the conversation, we can have a fireside chat also on data privacy and data security. If I may ask Vaibhav that you are representing a company which is handling a lot of data, and that's in crores and crores, right? So how important it is to create that robust infrastructure in place when it comes to data security. I'll come to data privacy part later. But in terms of data security, how important it is to create a resilient and robust infrastructure, especially when you're handling so much of data within an organization, which has got a huge customer base. So what about that?
Hello. Thank you, Shomik. I hope I'm audible. So I think you asked a very relevant question. Data security nowadays is one of the foundation pillars of building any digital ecosystem, and especially in travel. At Make My Trip, we handle lots of PII data. When we talk about PII, it could be name, email, mobile, and we are not only limited to PII. It could be SPI also, like credit card, Aadhaar, and even sometimes passport and other things. So it becomes essentially important that whatever data we are taking from the customer, how we are preserving the data. If something wrong happens with the data, it's not only the identity breach we are talking about. It could be a financial loss, and more importantly, it can spoil the entire travel plan to the holidays. So that becomes really important, that how we are preserving the data at every stage. At Make My Trip, customer trust is our sole motto, and that's in our DNA. And that is the reason we hold 70% of the market share. So now the question comes in how we can manage the security. Security, when we say about security, it's not about a silver bullet, like if you deploy one thing and that covers everything. So you have to have a layered security approach. When I say layered security, that means that in each and every layer, you should be having robust security controls in place. If one control is not enough, then another control would come in. Secondly, whatever things we deploy, there are few things that is in our DNA. One, when we talk about the zero trust. So whatever we deploy, that is the fundamental thing. We ensure that whatever tools, whatever process, whatever we are deploying, that is on zero trust. That may initially take some time to do, but that is the fundamental approach. Secondly, we always believe in the data anonymization approach. That means whatever data we are preserving, we are holding at many different places. That is secure, and that is only available to right set of user. That comes with an AAA, Accounting Authentication and Authorization Framework. So these are the fundamental things which we have derived. And secondly, when whatever control we deploy, we always ready that attackers are we had to us. So how do we preserve? That's where our incident response and other system comes into play, so that if something happens, how and where are we able to defend ourselves?
Right. You talked about layered data and other things as well. How important it is to have a system where we can have a regular audit of how if any data which is happening. So your thought on importance of regular audit, or are we doing sufficient as an organization as a whole, if you see? Because we sometimes hear a lot of complaints about whether regular audit is happening or not, or whether it is happening effectively or not. Yeah. So your take on that?
So whenever we talk about audit, a typical statement is audit is something that slows you down. People typically say it's just a compliance check mark. You are doing audit because that is a regulatory requirement. It could be GDPR, it could be DPDP, it could be ISO. So that is just one of the lens, the way we look at the audit. But essentially, when you talk about me, audit is something that improves your processes, because that's the way you are continuously evolving. You identify the owner of that process. You identify how they are identifying the vulnerability, how they are fixing it out. So in true term, audit is the enabler. Audit helps us in identifying the gaps before somebody else finds us. So that's why we ensure.
Your organization is doing it?
Absolutely.
Regularly?
Yeah.
And also, if I come to one part, that is that we're talking about DPD ad and all those things. It's still consultant is going on, though it has been presented in Lok Sabha, but a lot of consultation is still happening. One of the major discussion which is coming around, which is like how we balance innovation and the data privacy part or the data security part. So, what's your take on that? How do you balance that innovation is taking place for the data is needed, but at the same time, when you're talking about data security, compromising with the innovation aspect sometimes may be there. So, how can we balance as an organization to balance one end data security privacy and other end innovation?
So if I take it this way, whenever we talk from the business standpoint, innovation is something the driver. At Magmatic, we believe that every piece of code which we write brings some innovation, brings some ideas, because that is the need of an hour. Today, traveler want a hyper-personalized experience. They want that the booking should happen in a minute. If something they have a query, the AI chatbot should be able to answer it out. They don't want to wait for minutes or IVR calls. They want everything to be done. They want a hassle-free, you can say, check-in experience. They want a personalized curated experience on whenever they plan any holiday packages. But at the same side, we don't want innovation to come at the cost of privacy. That doesn't mean that while we are innovating, we are not taking care of privacy. So my take would be innovation and privacy, we take hand in hand. So we ensure that we enable our processes so fast so that we can sustain the business. So whatever controls we are deploying, we are building the automated checklist. Gone are the days when we do the VAPT and then we are not doing for another 3 months or so. Every day we are shipping new processes, new business processes, or you can say the new features to our customers. So that means we are ready in a sense that every day we are doing the continuous VAPT of our processes. We are continuously doing the revalidation of our controls so that if something happens, we are aware of the threat. Today, problem is not that if something happens, the problem if something happens, how fast you are able to detect it out. And that's where we try to balance between the innovation and you can say the security part.
So I'll come quickly to the last part of this fireside chat. We can take questions offline also, but I want to ask you because a lot of in our session also a lot of speakers talked about importance of collaboration, coming out of silos, working together, government, industry, or within industry. As someone who is responsible for compliance and security in a company like Pvt, what are the areas where do you think that you can collaborate more with the industry or the technology partners? I am not asking you to give a detailed thing, but where do you think that a lot of collaboration can happen between an organization like yours or the technology or industry partners? Your thoughts on that?
See, today,
any pain point you have which should be addressed technologically? That's my point.
Correct. So whenever we develop something, there is a fundamental question comes in: build versus buy. Being a product company, the question is, for example, the DPTP and other thing comes up. The first question would be, do we want to build something and do we want to buy something? When we build something, we have to see how we inherit the security at every layer. But when we are buying something, that means that we are introducing another layer. So how we are doing that ecosystem right? So if we have to integrate with some third party, how we are sharing the data? Even if the controls are deployed at our end is strong enough, but a weakest link at the other side could destroy the entire supply chain. So that's where it's become fundamentally very important that whatever things we are deploying, like we talk about DPDP, so how the data discovery is happening, what all data planes we have, where my data resides, are we able to identify or not? Being a travel company, we have footprint largely on cloud and we have a multi-cloud environment, but we essentially have footprints on our on-premise also. So that means that we are handling humongous amount of data and people are keeping data at many different places. So that becomes a challenging aspect, how we are leveraging technology to solve all these challenging needs.
Right. Thank you so much. I'm sure our partners for this conference, iValue and Google Cloud, had made a note of what you have said, and they may find some opportunity to collaborate with you on that. But before I end, last question quickly, 30 seconds. We are talking about a lot of data, then the data privacy, data security, everything. But are we using the available data correctly? Are we analyzing that data correctly? Because sometimes when you interact with government officials, I think that's a pain point for them. What they say always, even the enterprise also, that are we handling the available data correctly? Are we analyzing it in a correct way to reach out to a level where we actually some action can be also done? I know a lot of things is happening. So my point is that are we handling data for decision making in a precise manner, or something more should be done? Your thoughts on that quickly, 20 seconds.
Sure. I believe that fundamentally there's to a question of data minimization. We typically see that we handle lots of data, and whenever we talk about stakeholders, wherein they are integrating with some third-party suppliers, like we talk integrate a lot of data with flights, hoteliers, and travel affiliates. They keep on sending lots of data at many different places. But essentially, do we really require all the data to be sent across? The simple answer would be no. But why we are doing it? Because there is a very less awareness in the market. What data do we really require? At Make My Trip, when we do this exercise, we identify most of the time, 70 to 80% time, the data which a team or which a department sharing may not be required at the other side. They are just doing it because that is the part of their Excel sheet or that is the part of their framework. So we are making every stakeholder aware that data security is not a CISO responsibility. This is an everyone's responsibility, and you only send the data which is relevant to your business. So we don't want security to obstacle to your business processes, but we want to be enabler, and we want them to participate in this.
Very important point raised by Vaibhav, I think, for our audience also, that I think time has come now that let's not see CIO or CISOs in a siloed manner. Rather, make CIOs and CISOs part of your decision making when you are making a comprehensive, robust IT infrastructure. So it's not like CISO will only look at the cybersecurity part. But when you are making the overall plan, a CISO's input or a CIO's input has to be there. I think that is a very valid point, an important point you have raised. I'm not saying it's happening across the board, but it has started to happen, and it's happening much quickly, and we hope that in near future it becomes a regular thing rather than a rare thing, or it's like not everybody is doing that. But thank you so much, Vaibhav. I think a lot of questions are there within the audience, but sorry, we don't have time for that. We can take the questions offline. So here it was Vaibhav Agarwal from Make My Trip for a fireside chat on data security and data privacy. I know we have touched very little on the data privacy part. We could have talked a lot about DPDP Act and all those things, but maybe some other day. But offline is always welcome. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. We would like to present a small token of appreciation to Vaibhav Agarwal from Make My Trip for attending T4D CyberSecCon 25 powered by iValue and Google Cloud. Thank you so much, Vaibhav.